Welcome to podcast number 2. I don't know if this one will have a clever name like the last one, but if you haven't figured that out, you can ask us what that's all about. We have entered the CrossFit Open season, so today we're going to chat a little bit about what our experience with the Open has been, why we do the Open at Northbound, some of our hopefully favorite Open memories, and just generally explaining what it is and what to look forward to in these next couple of weeks. The Open is only 3 weeks this year. In the past, it's been 5 weeks. And what that means is it'll be a little bit shorter, a little bit sweeter. It's the same format as it was last year. But likely we'll have a couple different tests within those 3 weeks. So it'll kick off on February 29th, which is this upcoming Thursday. And we run the workouts on Friday nights. We call it Friday Night Lights. And that Friday Night Lights is kind of a chance for us to hopefully be kind of a big community. Some of the AMers come to the PM, and some of the nooners wait to do the workout later. But even if you want to just come to normal class times, we'll still do the workout within classes. And it'll still be official Open workouts when we do them all day on Friday, whether you're coming in the nighttime or to the morning classes or the noon class.
So what does official mean?
It just means that you'll likely have someone judging your workout, which we don't do normally throughout the year, but for the Open, it gives us a chance to hold us to standards, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but first we need to kind of talk about what the Open actually is. You want to chat about that?
Yeah. So the way I always think about the Open, I kind of think of it as the start of the CrossFit Games season. So most of us aren't CrossFit Games athletes, but if you follow along, there's a sport that goes along with CrossFit, and there are people who compete in the sport, and the CrossFit Open is kind of the gatekeeper into the season that is the CrossFit Games. For the majority of people, it's a community event that all CrossFit gyms around the world really participate in. So like Marcus has said, it's 3 weeks long. All CrossFit affiliates that choose to participate in the Open are doing the same workouts. You have from Thursday to Monday to complete that workout.
And it's a little bit different. I think they did this last year, but for sure this year, workouts are announced on Thursdays during the Open weeks at 2 p.m. So there's actually potential to do it on Thursday night if you needed to, if that was your only time, if you were heading out of town or whatever. And then they're typically due Monday night, and I don't know exactly when that time is. It's normally been 7 p.m., but it might be a little bit earlier this year just because they moved up the announcement. So again, 3 weeks, announced on Thursday. We do the workout on Friday in classes, and it's basically every affiliate around the world is doing the same workout. So for example, my brother who's out in California, he will hopefully be doing the Open workout so we can compare scores, and we're doing the exact same standards, exact same movements, exact same weights or reps or whatever, what have you. And it is a fun time to have kind of a test put to your fitness. Now, it's not the most broad test because it is only 3, maybe 4, potentially 5 scored factors. So it's likely not enough to spell out exactly where your fitness is at. But it is cool to see year to year where you rank for those that do want to sign up for the global CrossFit Open. Or on the flip side, just to do them as part of a community and enjoy kind of being part of the bigger landscape of CrossFit.
Yeah, so whether or not you choose to compete in the Global CrossFit Open or not, you can say that you're doing the Open because as a gym, we are doing the Open. We are programming the workout on those Fridays, and if you come to class, then you're doing the Open workout. But there is this other flip side of signing up for the Global Open or signing up through CrossFit for the Open, which you and I have both done for a long time.
Yep. What number is this for you?
My first Open was in 2016. I missed 2 years because of pregnancies. So this is
And by because of pregnancies, she doesn't mean that she was pregnant so she didn't do it. She means because she was like just had Lily
Like
last year.
Yeah, the second week of the open,
And
Lily.
Ronnie was coming.
It was
a couple
COVID, so we
weeks
didn't have a
later.
gym, and I was pregnant.
Yep.
And so I still did some version of the workout in the capacity that I was able to do it,
Yep.
but I didn't sign up for the Global Open like I did the
Correct.
other years.
But if you're pregnant,
You can still do it.
you can still do the open. And regardless of what you got going on, there is usually two legitimate scale options that are programmed within every workout. And even if we need to adjust for whatever the movement, there's flexibility within there too. So just because maybe you can't do lunges or because you can't do muscle ups or whatever have you, there's scale options for that. You can still get a great workout. And just like last time, we can hopefully meet the stimulus or meet the test as best as possible within that. This is what did you say this was for you?
I started in 2016, so.
So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 minus 1?
-2.
Oh, so 7, something
Math.
like that. This is my official 10th, I believe. 15,
Really?
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I think this is officially my 10th. I unofficially did it back in 2014. That was when I first started CrossFit. So I've now done the open potentially 11 times. Used to be 5 weeks. It was a much longer process, but again, this 3 week is kind of what we would call more of an express version of it.
And I remember I was just starting CrossFit in 2015 during the open time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching you do the open workout. I was not working out. I just came to watch like the Friday Night Lights at the gym that we were at. And it was the workout that had a bunch of ring muscle ups in it.
To start the workout.
To start the workout. And Marcus was just a year into CrossFit or something.
Yep.
And as big as you are now, probably.
Yeah, maybe a little bit later. But started with
not,
seven
not great
muscle-ups.
at muscle ups yet. And seeing his hands after the workout, I remember being like, there's no way I'm ever going to do this.
I had done a handful of muscle ups, and I can almost guarantee this will not happen anymore. But at that time, I think it was maybe the third or the fourth workout.
I think it was the fourth.
The workout actually started with 7 ring muscle ups, so that was kind of your prerequisite. And I had maybe done 7 ring muscle ups total in my CrossFit career at that point, and hadn't, even though I could do them, hadn't really worked that much on them. And I think I ended up getting a legitimate score of like 4 reps. Like my score was 4.
And your hands were
My hands
bloody.
were destroyed, and the rings were destroyed. I think we even threw those rings out just because there was
You
so
spent
much,
a long time trying to clean them.
so much blood on them.
Yeah.
Anyways, it probably won't happen this year.
Well, and I think that's to say too, like I went into it thinking there's no way I'm ever going to do this, and then the next year I signed up.
Yep.
And the reason that I sign up is not because I think I'm going to the games or because there was a time when I was hopefully getting to the next stage or, whatever, but because I think it's a really cool way to give myself a goal and give myself a little bit more pressure on a workout than it's the same reason I choose to compete at local competitions, because you're always going to try a little bit harder if someone is judging you or if you think that people are watching or if you have to submit a score. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's a good way for us to kind of check ourselves with how can we push a little bit harder, how can we make our movement a little bit better, and really in a much less scary situation because we're in our home gym. You're with people that you work out with every day who just want to see you do your best.
Yep. Yeah, and the whole purpose in doing these workouts alongside other people too is the accountability aspect. So you get to be part on the macro scale of the global CrossFit Open, and on the micro scale, part of the Northbound community. And even looking within your age bracket or potentially even your occupation, there's different categories if you do sign up for the open that are in there that you can look to see where you rank. So I actually can see where I rank with affiliate owners, which is kind of cool. And I can see where I'm at in the open category of age, but when I hit 35, I'll be a master's, and then every 5 years you can look into whatever category you're in. So we have a couple people aging up in the new master's categories this year, which is kind of fun because then they're playing with kind of the older kids in their group.
And the workout changes slightly depending on
Yep.
the age group that you're in.
Yeah,
Or
it's
can.
not typically until 55 plus, but can change at that level. But the accountability aspect too in holding ourselves to a standard of movement. So making sure that we're squatting to depth, making sure we're going through a full range of motion in a press, or making sure we're doing what we need to do with our feet on burpees or pull-ups or whatever it would be. And that aspect really is cool too, because yes, there's intensity in terms of going harder, but there's also intensity in terms of trying harder within a movement. So it doesn't necessarily mean going faster. It may be squatting to a deeper position, which is what we should always be trying to do, or it means doing a movement to standard, because hopefully those standards hold us to the most efficient and effective pattern of that movement as well. So it's a good way to kind of check ourselves too, to make sure that there's not any corners cut or something like that, because yes, we always want to get better scores, and yes, we want the numbers to go up, but if we're not optimizing our movements first, then what's the purpose in really upping those numbers and metrics if we're not first focusing on the whole purpose of training to just move better.
We didn't talk about this. Do you have a favorite open workout that you've done?
Yeah, so the ring muscle up workout was definitely probably the most memorable, just because there's kind of this vibe of like the magic of the open, and that was really cool that I was able to do a couple muscle ups that year and get a score, even though it was like incredibly frustrating and very humbling. It was very cool to still get some muscle ups that year, and because that was a real kick in the pants for myself of, hey, if I actually want to get better at this sport, I need to spend the time working on it. So once my hands healed up, which took a little bit of time, from there on out, I believe I went 60 days in a row of doing some amount of muscle ups and trying to but increase my number every day. So literally day one, I walked in the gym, did one muscle up. Day two, I walked in the gym, did two muscle ups. Day
And then you walked
3,
out.
Day 4, day 5, day 6, and so on and so forth. And it wasn't really even stringing them together. It was just at different points. And granted, I spent anywhere between 3 to 5 hours at the gym every day. And so during that space of time, just whenever I got a chance, I would go over and just do a muscle up. And eventually got to 30, and when you're getting to 30, then you're able to start stringing some of those together. And then I started doing sets of 2 and 3s, and then I started incorporating them into training every week and doing EMOMs and all that kind of stuff. So it was a really cool kick in the pants. So I think that's probably my most memorable workout. I would say one of my favorite was just straight up rowing and wall balls, which was, I think beginning of 2019 maybe, because it was 19 cal row, 19 wall balls, and just like shut your brain off. Mm-hmm. And it was a 15-minute AMRAP. And obviously, given my stature, it was I was set up to do fairly well in that workout.
Wasn't there toes to bar in it too?
No, that was the next year after. So I think it was just straight up 19 calorie row, 19 wall balls, get as many rounds as possible. And I just like grinding like that and just going and not stopping. So that was super fun. Did you have one besides viewing me destroying my hands?
Well, I think, so that was 2015 that I watched that happen. And so then that whole year I had in my head that I was supposed to learn how to do a ring muscle up. Mm-hmm. And eventually got it, like probably just before the 2016 Open, mm-hmm. I got my first ring muscle up. And then I think that year they put bar muscle ups mm-hmm. in the Open, and I had never tried them. And I was that girl who did the open workout like 3 or 4 times in the span of Thursday to Monday, attempting to get my first bar muscle up. And I did. I got, I think, 3 maybe. And so that was probably the most memorable, because that was kind of the first kick in the pants that I got of like, hey, you think that it's going to be one thing and then you don't prepare.
And the cool thing with that, from that specific work that she's talking about, was that was a year later after after the ring muscle up thing, and my bar muscle ups have always been a touch better. But then going into that open that year, it's still to this day, I think, is my best open score ever in terms of where I ranked. Granted, it was paired with power snatches, which is also a pretty good movement for me. But I think that was a 7-minute AMRAP of 3 bar muscle ups and maybe 15 or 10 basically muscle snatches at 75, or 15 muscle snatches at 75. And like I said, still to this day, I think that's one of my best ones, because I had spent the whole year working on muscle ups to get to that point. So the accountability aspect is huge, and also just kind of the magic of being in the
getting
community.
your first open with people watching. And
yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah.
There was somewhere I was going to go from there. I can't remember what it is. Anyways, the open tests are hopefully 3 weeks of very different workouts too. So, I remember where I was going to go. So with those 3 different workouts, hopefully 1 week we're testing just, like I said before, wall balls and rowing, just like pure conditioning workouts, maybe geared towards a taller athlete, maybe not. Another one of those weeks may be a test geared more towards gymnastics. Another one of those weeks might be a test geared more towards strength. But hopefully it's as balanced as possible over the course of the 3 weeks, and potentially the 6 to 15 different movements that we might run into in the open. What I was going to say was, the other cool aspect is, and something we've seen in the years past, is new movements that we would potentially incorporate into the class structure at that level too. So we've done obviously some muscle up progressions in class. We've talked about some pullover progressions. That's one of those movements that I could see coming up in the next couple of years. There's jump rope variations last year, so playing around with that, which I really hope don't show up in the open, but another thing to pay attention to last year was shuttle runs. A couple of years prior was wall walks, which I called, in case those that are paying attention to that. I did call that wall walks were coming up. Way prior to that, it was muscle ups, double unders, burpee box jumps, chest to bar pull-ups, and several different, or dumbbell snatches was one year. And it's cool to see the trickle down, because a lot of those movements then put that movement on the map for the global fitness space. So yeah, it was part of the CrossFit Open to start, but then you see it show up in these other different fitness events and the way that people train. So again, our goal is to be optimizing our movement patterns as much as you can. Sometimes when new movements comes up, you feel like a fish out of water, or in my case, like someone who's learning how to swim. Like you don't really know how to breathe through it. You don't know what the strokes are, what your feet are supposed to do. And then over the course of the next 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, it becomes just an old habit pattern that you can breathe through and become more aerobic through those different movements, which is definitely improving your fitness, which is cool.
So, like you said, whether or not you sign up for the Global Open or not, if you come to class on Fridays, you're doing the Open.
Yep.
Does the rest of the week, are we going to change the rest of the week? How does that work? I know, speaking from the person who watches the programming happen, I know that programming during the Open isn't always necessarily super fun.
Yeah.
How does that change for you?
Yeah, it's tough because I don't know the workouts on the front end, so basically I'm guessing week to week and trying to have us both prepared but also well rested going into Friday for whatever we might have, because we don't know if it's going to be a squat dominated workout or a pull or a press or a midline or whatever it would be. So usually Monday, Tuesday, we hit it pretty hard like normal. Wednesday, I'm likely not trying to have too much any sort of muscle fatigue, whether that would be core fatigue or pull fatigue or press fatigue or leg fatigue. So those turn into a little bit more conditioning style workout. Thursday usually stays pretty normal in terms of how we program right now. Somewhat of a recovery day, but making sure that we're still getting the heart rate elevated, spending a lot of time in zone 2, maybe touching into zone 3 a little bit, so that even if you're working out every single day, which typically I do every workout every day for what I program, you still feel well rested going into Friday. Saturdays then programmed after the open workout to make sure that nothing like lines up with that, and hopefully becomes somewhat of a counter
So if it was
to
super squatty,
whatever
then
we
we're doing
did on Friday.
something different.
And then it's nice week to week because I can assume that none of those movements are going to show up again.
Sure.
So it starts to make it a little bit easier to start programming Monday, Tuesday. A little bit tougher to do strength stuff during the open. Usually we try to get in some variation of a squat or a pull or a press on Monday or Tuesday, just so you're hopefully recovered going into Friday, so that regardless of what the workout is, you feel good to go. And again, the expectation is that there's likely more effort, and that might not necessarily mean going harder in your head of what that might look like, but definitely a willingness to push yourself to a greater standard, or maybe it is a greater degree of metabolic conditioning, or maybe it is with a more challenging movement. It's a great time to test yourself versus what we talk about on a normal week is that we are training. We are constantly training with the idea of the long run in sight and a long progression of movements versus trying to shorten everything to just get it done as fast as possible, whether it's progressing up to a muscle up or whether it's weight on a dumbbell snatch. We want to take it slow over the long run. But the open is kind of a cool way to put in during the year of a way to test your fitness and to see where you're at. And usually there's a repeat in there too. So for those that have done 10 or 11 open workouts or open years like I have, there's likely going to be something that you've done prior to retest where your score was 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I do have a prediction on that.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if the open retest, and I'd have to look at exactly what year this was. I think it was 2017. So it would have been 17 or 18. We did dumbbell snatches and burpee box jumps week 1. So I don't know if that was 17 or 18, but then week 2 was dumbbell power cleans, dumbbell lunges, which if you've been coming to class, we've done a few more lunges as of recent. Dumbbell lunges, chest to bar pull-ups, and then eventually progress to bar muscle-ups within that too. So if that's the repeat, I think it's maybe either 17.2 or 18.2. You heard it here first. That's one of the picks. But if I'm picking movements, I'm expecting there to be lunges this year in the open. What's the other movement that I picked out? Well, mainly lunges.
And I'm not going to pick movements.
I don't think there'll be double unders. I don't think there'll be wall walks.
Which is a bummer.
Some version of a burpee. And I also wouldn't be surprised if there is like a 10 round for time workout where the rounds are right around a minute or maybe sub-minute. So one year we did 10 rounds of 9 thrusters and 35 double unders or something like that. A workout kind of like a really quick couplet like that. Or a 20-minute AMRAP because they've done 20-minute AMRAPs in the past too.
Yeah.
So there you go. 18.2, 10 rounds for time, 20-minute AMRAP.
All right. We'll mark you down for it. So if you're coming to class and just planning to work out, normal week, you just might be pushing a little bit harder on Fridays.
Yep.
Whether you like it or not, you're put on a team.
Yep.
Based on what class time you normally show up to, so either AM, noon, or PM. The PM crew has taken it the last 2 years.
2 years, yep.
You get points for doing the workout. You get points for judging somebody on the workout.
Yep.
And then there are some
top score per category.
Okay.
top scores per category, Rookie of the Year, Spirit of the Open, and then we might do something as well this year for actually signing up for the Global Open as well, if people are going to do that.
Maybe we'll figure out how to put that link in the
Yep.
description of this podcast,
sure.
so you can just click on it and
Yep.
sign up.
So you're part of a team. Winning team gets the glory of being the Open champions.
Usually a drink from the fridge.
Yeah. Or maybe something super special this year.
Maybe your picture on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yep, picture on the wall for sure.
We're looking forward to it. It's always a fun time for us. Plus, the first Friday Night Lights this year is on Marcus's birthday.
It is, yeah. The other, the last week of the Open as well, usually we cater in some food. It's been Chipotle in the years past, and we'll hang out for a little bit. Good time just to kind of sit in the community, hang out, similar to why we had the Christmas party and the holiday party, and when we do Murph, just kind of hanging out, seeing people, catching up. It won't go super late, but plan for that week 3, which will be the 1st, the 8th,
And the 15th.
and the 15th. So plan on March 15th. We'll hang out for a little bit afterwards, do some awards. Hopefully we'll have our champion potentially by then too. So that'll be cool.
Cool.
Anything else? Yeah, so going to this, obviously ready to work hard. The Open's definitely not easy, but it is a fun time and a purpose to push ourselves a little bit harder and also just celebrate our fitness. So for most people, there's not really anything at stake other than just a chance to test yourself. But do the highest quality workout that you can possibly imagine yourself doing, regardless if that's 3 muscle ups and that's your score of 3, or if it's setting a new world record on it. It's always a fun time. And the next step, if you are trying to qualify to the next level, they changed the standards this year, so the top 25% qualify to the next stage of quarterfinals. Potentially more importantly for our community, we have a team representing us as well. So Jesse, Jordan, Justin, and Anna are all doing the Open out of Northbound this year. So if you haven't met them, hopefully you guys can catch them on a Friday. I'm not sure if they'll be doing, it'll probably depend week to week when we're doing the workout. Maybe it'll be during Friday Night Lights. Maybe it might be before or on a Saturday too. So encourage those guys along, because we really would like to see them advance as far as they can this year and represent us well, represent themselves well, and really showcase what the tip of the spear in terms of fitness looks like. So really cool to have them representing us too. Anything else? Cool. Have fun. Enjoy. Coming up this week, get yourself ready. And if you do have friends or family that want to see what the Open's about or check out Northbound, the Open is a super fun time to have them in. We will likely have set up for spectating, so it's a good time to bring in family members and friends.
If someone's wanting to work out with us, just make sure you let us know beforehand.
Yeah, the Open is not really a great time to have a brand new person come in.
But if someone does CrossFit in your life and wants to come and do it at the gym,
participate in, then let us know, because we'll be running heats and we'll do signups and all that kind of stuff. So, but a great time to have somebody come in and watch you and see what Northbound's all about, see what CrossFit's all about. We'll have a great time with it.
Great.
Cool. All right, that's a wrap. Podcast number 2.